So, we continue our study about vectors, and today we will start with the concept of a negative vector. That is, when you consider a vector in this direction, this is a vector, and the negative vector means a vector having the same magnitude but opposite in direction. If this is the tip of the vector or the head of the vector and this is the tail of the vector, then this is the length of the vector, which is the magnitude. I simply reverse that vector and then it will be the negative vector. Therefore, negative vector is basically a vector which is reversed. It is defined as a vector having the same magnitude and opposite in direction as shown here. This is the vector A, and then this will be vector minus A. If this is vector P, this will be vector minus P. These two are parallel, the collinear in the same line, but they are anti-parallel. This is in this direction and this vector is in this direction. They are anti-parallel. And positive and negative vectors are always collinear. That is, a positive vector is always collinear with the negative vector. Both the positive vector and the negative vector lies along the same line. And this idea of negative vectors can be used to subtract vectors by using the law of addition of vectors like triangular law or parallelogram law. Therefore, we can consider how vectors are being subtracted. Let us find A minus B, that is a vector A and minus a vector B using triangular law. And A minus B can always be written as A plus minus B. Therefore, if you want to subtract B from A, you reverse the direction of B. If B is already in this direction, then you reverse it in the opposite direction and you will get the negative vector. Then you add that negative vector to A using triangular law. We can look at the figure, and there I have marked A plus B, A minus B and B minus A. That is, I have a vector A in this direction, this is the vector A, or this is the vector B. Therefore, this is vector A, this is vector B. To add A and B, we join the tail of B to the head of A and then join these two lines. That will be A plus B. If you want to calculate A minus B, what we do is, this is our B vector and we have to add minus B to A. Therefore, we reverse the vector B. Vector B is reversed to obtain a vector in this direction, and then the head of A and tail of minus B are joined together, and then this line, this vector will give A minus B. Similarly, if you want to calculate B minus A, you take the B vector like this, that is the positive vector. Then if we take the negative vector corresponding to A, that is, this will be the negative vector, negative A, and you add this A, that is the head of minus A, to the tail of B, and this will be B minus A. Therefore, using triangular law, you can add vectors as well as subtract vectors. To subtract vectors, you simply reverse the vector which is to be subtracted and use the triangular law of forces. And you can see from the figure, this previous figure, you can see that this A minus B and B minus A are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. Therefore, A minus B will be equal to minus of B minus A. they will be same magnitude vectors. A minus B and B minus A will have same magnitude, but they will be directed opposite. They will be oppositely directed vectors. Now we can use the parallelogram law. Parallelogram law to add vectors as well as subtract vectors. Therefore, we are going to do both. This vector is A, this vector is B, and this diagonal is A plus B. And if you want to subtract B from A, you have to reverse this vector B to obtain a vector minus B in this direction. This is minus B. And this is A. Therefore, this vector minus B and this vector A are added together using parallelogram law. You can see that this vector are collinear, therefore this angle will be 180 degree. This angle is theta, therefore this angle will be 180 minus theta. That is, if the angle between the vector A and vector B is theta, then the angle between vector A and vector minus B will be 180 minus theta. So we can use the rule of parallelogram, that is A minus B, the magnitude of that, magnitude of A minus B will be root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos 180 minus theta. Cos 180 minus theta is minus theta, minus cos theta. Therefore, that is square root of A square plus B square minus 2AB cos theta. Therefore, A plus B is root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta, and A minus B is A square plus B square minus 2AB cos theta, where theta is the angle between plus A and plus B. That you should always remember. It is not the angle between A and minus B. It is theta is the angle between A and plus B. And then tan alpha clearly will be, if it is addition, we have B sin theta divided by A plus B cos theta, and cos theta becomes minus cos theta, cos 180 minus theta. Therefore, the formula will become tan alpha is equal to B sin theta divided by A minus B cos theta. Therefore, these are the two formulas for finding the magnitude as well as direction of two vectors which is subtracted. We will take an example. Two vectors having magnitudes 4 root 3 and 2 are inclined at an angle 30 degree. Find the difference between them. These two are 4 root 3 and 2 are inclined at 30 degree, and if you consider the parallelogram, we will get the sum. If you reverse one of the vectors, that is, we reverse the vector 2 and we calculate the difference between the two. And it is given that our P is equal to 4 root 3, Q is equal to 2, theta is equal to 30 degree, and we have to calculate P minus Q. And according to our formula, P minus Q is equal to P square plus Q square minus 2PQ cos theta. 4 root 3 whole square plus 2 square minus 2 into 4 root 3 into 2 multiplied by cos 30. Cos 30 is root 3 by 2. Therefore, P minus Q is square root of 48 plus 4 minus 2 multiplied by 4 multiplied by root 3 multiplied by root 3 by 2. That will be 52 minus 2 into 4 into 3 into root 3 into root 3. That will be 24. Therefore, 52 minus 24, that is square root of 28. And that value will be approximately 5.3. 20 root of 25 is 5. 5, slightly more than that. It will be 5.3. In questions, you usually need only an approximate value. Therefore, if it is given as one value as 5.3 and other value is 5.9, one value as 4.8, another value as 4.7, etc., you know that it will be more than 5 and it will not be 5.9. Therefore, you can choose the value of 5.3. That you don't need to calculate square root of 28 exactly in actual objective type questions. But if it is a subjective question, then you will have to calculate the value, and that value will be 5.3. Next example. This is slightly tricky question. Resultant of two forces has a magnitude of 20 Newton. Therefore, here the resultant is given. One of the forces of magnitude 20 root 3 Newton makes an angle 30 degree with the resultant. Therefore, angle between the vector 20 root 3 and the resultant is given as 30 degree. What is the magnitude of the other force? That is slightly tricky, but it is very easy to do if you know the concept. That is, F1 plus F2 is equal to R. Then you want to calculate F2. In the figure you can see that F1 I have taken as 20 root 3, R I have taken as 20 Newton, and the angle between those is 30 degree, and this is F2 which is to be calculated. F1 plus F2 is equal to R. In the actual formula of parallelogram law addition, you take this 30 degree as alpha. But in this question it is given that the angle with the R and one of the vectors is 30 degree. That is, we take it as 20 root 3. And F2 is R minus F1. Now it is very simple to do. We have F1, we have R. Those two are inclined at an angle 30 degree. Therefore, you simply find the difference between R and F1. That is, actually you take F1 like this and add. But we don't need to do that because we have the formula for R minus F1. R minus F1 will be square root of R square plus F1 square minus 2R F1 cos 30. 30 is the angle between plus R and F1. That is theta. Therefore, it is 20 square plus 20 root 3 whole square minus 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 20 root 3 multiplied by cos 30, which is root 3 by 2. Therefore, 400 plus 1200 minus 1200, which is equal to square root of 400, which is 20 Newton. Therefore, if you understand the concept of finding the difference between two vectors and which angle is to be taken as theta, then this question can be easily done. Now we have the next law called the polygon law of vector addition. That actually is a repetition of triangular law. If you want to add more than two vectors, you repeat the triangular law. First you take two vectors, a pair of vectors, add them using triangular law. Then you take that sum and the third vector, add them. Then that sum and the fourth vector and add them, like that. You repeat that process and finally you will get the resultant. Therefore, it is actually a procedure for adding several vectors as a single stroke, but that is only an extension of the law which people usually call as the polygon law of vector addition, is only an extension of triangular law for adding two vectors. Here I have given the diagram. This vector is A, this vector is B. Those two added together will give you an A plus B. This vector is C, and those two added together will give you an A plus B plus C. This vector is D, and you add with that, you will get A plus B plus C plus D. This vector is E, then A plus B plus C plus D plus E. Therefore, A and B are added together to get A plus B. A plus B and C added together to get A plus B plus C. A plus B plus C and D added together to get A plus B plus C plus D. And finally, that and vector E added together to get the final resultant. Therefore, this is the final resultant. So, that can be stated. If a number of vectors acting on a particle at the same time, because vectors can change with the time, therefore we specify that all those vectors are acting at the same time are represented in magnitude and direction. That is, this is the length is the magnitude, this arrowhead is the direction. This length is the magnitude, this arrowhead is the direction. This length is the magnitude, this arrowhead is the direction, like that. Therefore, the length, that is, some same time are represented by magnitude and direction by various sides of an open polygon. That is, various sides of an open polygon. This is a polygon, open polygon. And then the resultant is represented by the closing side of the polygon. Therefore, we have several vectors. They are represented in magnitude and direction by the sides of a polygon taken in order. That is, A, then B, then C, then D, then E, like that, taken in order. And the direction and magnitude should be preserved. Then we will get an open polygon. That is a polygon which is not fully completed. When it is completed, the resultant will be 0. A closed polygon will have a resultant 0. But this is not, if you have a non-zero resultant, it will be an open polygon. Therefore, you will get an open polygon. So, if number of vectors acting on the particle at the same time are represented in magnitude and direction by various sides of an open polygon taken in order, then the resultant is represented by the closing side of the polygon. That is called the polygon law of vector addition.